Hello everyone. I hope you are having a great time learning Python and understanding all the basics that we have been explaining from the first video. Today we'll be learning about while loop. We already learned about for loop in the previous video. So let me show you that. So this was the code that we learned in for loop. I hope you got all the basic concept. So if you know the concept of for loop, while loop will be very easy. So what is the difference between them? The main difference is in a for loop, as you can see, we give them for how many steps this loop should run. So here we run range 10, mean it should run for 10 steps. But in while loop, we give a condition. If the condition is true, then it will run. When the condition become false, then it will stop running. So let me give you a simple example. Let's write I is equals to 1. And we'll write while. This is the syntax. While, and let's put a condition. While I is less than 5. Now here I is equals to 1. 1 is less than 5. So this condition is true. So we'll print out this. We'll write print and we'll write yes. Okay. If you run this will run for infinite time. Let me show you if my Jupyter doesn't crash, it will go on for infinite. You can see here it's printing yes for infinite times. So this will never end. You just go on scrolling and it will go on forever. So to overcome this, we give a condition inside while loop. We write that let me do one thing. Let's write I plus equals to 1. What does this mean? Means after every time it runs this while loop, the value of I will get increased. So at one time this condition will be false and this will stop executing. Let's just run this once and okay, we must interrupt the kernel. You can see there is an asterisk sign. I hope we don't get asterisk sign after interrupting. So let's just interrupt this. Okay, interrupting. I hope it is working now. Okay, now you can see that only 4 times got printed, but in the previous it was printing for infinite times. Why that's happened? So first let's check I is equals to 1. So while I is less than 5, 1 is less than 5 is true. If this is true, then this should run. Okay, now why do we put this condition? We want that this loop should not run infinite time. For one condition this should be false and we should come out of the loop. So in that, so that we wrote that let the value of I be increasing by 1. So at one time I will be equals to 5 and in that time 5 less than 5 is false, so we'll come out of this loop. So let me show you what is the value of I so that we got false. We can just write here print and I. If you run this now, you can see 5. 5 is the last value of I after running this. So we put this condition. If you don't put this, everything will run for infinite because this will never be false. I will always be equals to 1. So this is the main means basic idea of while loop. There are many things to do in while loop. So we'll be implementing some of the concept of while loop. So let's just start. We'll let I is equals to 1. Let's just take the same example. I is equals to 1. Now we'll write some function or some keywords inside used inside while to maintain something. Okay, we'll write while I is less than 5. We need to print this. We'll write print and we'll just write hello and we'll print the value of I. So now what does this mean? Now this will be printed for infinite because we did not write that I should change the value. So we'll just write I plus 1. I plus equals 1. What does this mean? If you don't know, let me show you. This means I is equals to I plus 1. So if you see in the general mathematics, this may seem like impossible, but in programming we do in this way. Now the value of I will be equals to the previous value of I plus 1. So first of all it was 1, so now it will become 2, and in the second loop the value of I is 2, so it will be 2 plus 1 equals to 3, and this way it will continue. So now if you run this, you can see like the previous is printing hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, hello 4. Now let's add some condition. We'll write here if, so let's come down here and write if our the value of I is equals to 3. So at one time I will be equals to 3 and we need it to break. Now what is break, you'll understand when we, let's just cut out this from here and print this here. Okay, now if you run this, you can see only hello 2 is getting printed. But why such so? So why this is happening is that, so at first it will run for I equals to 1. So when it comes inside, okay, let's, if you just write this in front, I think you'll understand in a better way. Let's put it here and run it one more time. So now you can see for I equals to 1. So this while loop will run, it will print this hello 1 and it will change the value of 1 to 2. Then it will check this condition. I is equals to 3? No. So it will go one more time and it will run. But when the value of I is equals to 3, then this condition will start. What does break mean? Break means it will stop executing the come out of inner loop. Now there is only one while loop, but we can inside the while loop we can add one more while loop to check for double condition. So the break means it will come out of this while loop, means this, even if this condition is true, this will be true for I equals to 3, 3 is less than 5, but because of this break statement, this while loop will stop executing. So this is the main concept of break. Now there is one more thing that is called continue. It is the opposite of break. So let's do one more thing. Let's write while I equals to 1. Let's take the same example so that you can understand easily. So let's just write I equals to 1. We're changing I equals to 1 because here I already changed its value to 3. So we're writing one more time I equals to 1. So we'll write while I is less than 5, print I. So here you can see, okay, this is infinite loop because I did not add the condition. So we'll add I plus equals 1 and interrupt the kernel because when it runs for infinite loop, so it breaks the condition. It means Jupyter is not able to execute it, it crashes, means this type of crash in Jupyter. So now you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 is getting printed because we increase the value, and in the 5 this condition is false. But let's do one thing. Let's just copy this plus. Okay, first of all I'll do without putting it in the front. So that if I is equals to 1 and continue. Now you can see what will happen. If you run this, okay, it's giving an interrupt. I think something we did wrong, something here. Okay, keyboard interrupt. If I is equals to 1, continue is not working. Let's just run it one more time and interrupt the kernel. So it's giving us something. So let's just print out this and put it here to see if something works. So now you can see that the value of I is 2. So everything is running well and fine. But let's change the value of I equals to here to I equals to 3. Now if you run this, you can see here the value of 3 is not getting printed. 2, 4, 5. But if you increase 1 plus 1, first is 2, 2 is getting printed. 2 plus 1 is 3, but 3 is not getting printed. Why? So this is because of this condition. I is equals to 3. And continue. Continue means it's like pass. Don't execute anything that is after this if. Means this print is after this if, so it will not come down till here. After this continue means go back directly to the while loop once more. Means don't come here. If this condition is satisfied, don't go after me. From here you pass on, go back to the while loop and don't do anything that is in means under this if statement. So I hope you got this concept. So let me do one more thing like 4. Now you can see here 4 will not get executed. It will write 2, 3 and directly 5. You can see here it's printing 2, 3. But when it reaches 4, it will come under this condition. If I is equals to 4, yes, true. So it will continue. Means it will not allow you to run this statement. It will straightly jump back to the while loop and will change the value of 5. 5 is not equals to 4. So this condition will not run and this will get printed. So these are the main basic concept of while loop. We'll be using while loop when we learn about list and all that. But you need to keep in mind this continue, break, and this else statement. Okay, I did not write about else. Here you can just write else. You can put here else and it will work the same. So no more true. So if you run this, you can see at the last it will print no more true because when this condition is false, then this will get executed. So it may be useful sometime when you want to give some message to the user. When the condition is false, then it will straightly print out this message. So this is the main concept of while loop. It's not so tough. It's same It may be a little bit easy than for loop, because in for loop we use some range and all that, but here it's simply correct. You just need to put the condition for which it should run, and it will keep on running. If you don't use to increase or decrease the value, it will if it's always true, then it will run for infinite time and your software may crash sometime. So don't use this infinite. You can check for once or twice, but don't be used to it, and try to change the value for which the condition is true. So this is the main concept of while loop. I hope you got the basic concept. So try to remember the continue, break, else, and the condition you put in front of while loop, and never miss the indentation. In Python, indentation is very useful. So that was it for today. I hope you got the basic concept of while loop. Thank you for watching. In the next, we'll learn about list and tuples. I hope to see you there. So thank you for watching. See you in the next.